Hi everybody, my name's Ercy and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be going through what I'm going to be reading through the month of May. And now again, it's been a while. All this quarantine stuff has been so hard. Just being at home and being able to find the time between keeping my daughter occupied has been really difficult. So that's why I haven't posted in a while. It's weird that me being able to go to work has actually allowed for me to schedule in time to film, which is weird because you would think if I'm home all the time, I would have more time to film, which is not the case because I have a 2-year-old running around the house. Let's talk about some books that I want to read. This book, I mentioned it last month, but I didn't finish, and there's a reason why. I already kind of feel like the books that I chose for this month are books that I eventually will be getting rid of. And it kind of goes back to one of the reasons why I started this channel, where like I have a lot of books in my house and I want to curate. And I already feel like these 3 books are going to be ones to go, but I want to read them first to kind of get refamiliarized with them so I feel even better about letting them go and passing them on. And so the first book is, I already mentioned this last month, is I Am America and So Can You. So because I already feel like I'm going to be getting rid of this, it's taken me a little longer to actually read it. It's funny. And I remember watching the Colbert Report, and I feel like this is a book of that time. This is a book from that era of when the Colbert Report was on TV. And I feel it's funny, and you have to get the jokes if you would have been watching the show. Right now, being that the show's been off the air for a few years now, he does have his late night talk show, but as himself. Not as Stephen Colbert, the character that he portrays in this book. So, I mean, while it's funny and I get it, it's taken me long. It's taking me a while to get through it because I don't think it's of this time in 2020. But it is funny. So I'm almost done with it, but this is one that I plan on getting through this month. Hopefully soon, so that way I can finish it. And this is I'm America and So Can You. And this is just pretty much a book of his opinions on different topics in our culture. So he talks about the media, education. He talks about sex. He talks about homosexuals. He talks about the class war. Like, it's funny, but it's anyone reading this without having known the context of what the show was about and his character that he was playing would find this extremely offensive. And that's why it's like, it's funny because I was watching the show and I understood the whole concept of the show, where he is this character who is obviously Stephen Colbert as the person is pretty liberal minded, but he plays this character of himself being this super conservative, this idealized conservative that hates anything that's liberal in America. And so obviously the joke is on, he's making fun of conservatives, and that's what you would take from it, but he makes jokes in the words as if he was a conservative, if that makes sense. I mean, like, while it's funny, it's not of this time. So, but anyways, I'm almost done with it, and so I'm reading this, and I do like it, but it's not worth being on my bookshelf. Anyways, all right, so that's the one book. Let's move on. The next book I'll be reading is If I Stay by Gail Forman. And now this book, I think my cousin gave it to me. I believe my cousin gave this to me. And this book is pretty much about this girl who she is a cellist. There was a snow day, and she takes a drive with her family, and they get into this this extremely horrible car wreck. And her parents die. This isn't a spoiler, this is like the first chapter or whatever. The parents die, and she is living in this outer body experience where she's seeing everything happen with her and her brother, and she has to decide whether she's going to stay in this world. So it's kind of going back and forth between her observing herself and her reminiscing about her life and things that, you know, she lived through in order to decide whether she's going to stay in this world or not. So, or if she's going to pass on. So that is the concept of this book. And it's a really easy read. I kind of flew through the first few pages. It's not difficult. I believe this is considered young adult, so it's not a heavy read, but I feel like the topic is kind of heavy. So in between me trying to finish the I'm America book, I'll also be reading If I Stay by Gail Forman. All right, last book, because again, I feel like these are books that I'll be passing on. So I know that they're going to take me a little longer to go through because I'm not as excited to read them. But another book that I'll be reading is Women Who Made a Difference by Malcolm Forbes. And this is 100 fascinating tales of unsung heroines and little known stories of famous women who changed their world and ours. So this is just kind of like a compilation of different stories from women throughout history, kind of highlighting some of their achievements. And I believe I got this book I either got this for free or I got it for like $1, like at Second and Charles or something. And I picked this up because I like knowing these stories. But again, I already know that once I finish this, I'll probably pass it on again. So it's not something I plan on keeping, but I am interested in knowing some, or enriching my knowledge of some women in history and their accomplishments and stuff. So I think it'd be really interesting to read through this and kind of learn a little more. So this is Woman Who Made a Difference by Malcolm Forbes. Now let's talk about some audiobooks, because I do have some that I plan on listening to this month. I'll post some pictures on either side of me. The first two that I want to talk about are continuing in the series of the Lorien Legacies, and this will be books 6 and 7, the last two books of this series, of the main series, the core of the series, because I believe there's also like some either like novellas and they've continued on afterwards, but this is like the main core of the series. So I got books 6 and 7 left, and that's The Fate of 10 and United as One. And so these are the last two books, and if you aren't familiar with this series, it's pretty much about these aliens from this planet, and they're all like teenagers at the time of the books. They're from the planet Lorien, and it's been attacked from aliens from this planet called Mogador, and they're called the Mogadorians. And so they escape to Earth while the Mogadorians destroy their planet, and they come to Earth, and they're sort of like alien refugees, and they're hiding out from the Mogadorians, who found out that they're at Earth, and they're chasing them, they're hunting them down. Like, this series is a lot of fun, and it's really action packed, and it kind of goes through this cycle of like action and then setup and action and setup and action. Like it goes through this flow, and that's why it's been keeping me hooked. It's not the greatest writing, but it's fun, and it's again another young adult series written a few years back, so it's not, again, the prose isn't that great. It's written through the perspective of teenagers, and so you gotta imagine what teenagers sound like, but it is fun, and I do like it. So these are the last two books of the core of the series, and we'll see if in the future I'll continue with reading like the novellas or the continuation, but I'm excited to kind of finish these last two books. Okay, so the next book that I plan on listening to is called Bunnybye by Mona Awad. So this book, it's supposed to be sort of like a dark academia kind of thing, where you've got this secret society at this school, at this college, where all the girls, and these are grown women, and they all kind of click together and they call each other Bunny. And it's supposed to be like something really weird. And there's a reason why they keep calling themselves Bunny, and I'm not really sure why, but everyone that I've heard talk about this book has said that it's really weird, it's really dark, and just really interesting. So the first person that I heard about this from was Russell from Ink and Paper blog. And he was talking about this book, how it was really weird but really good. And so I'm really curious to know what it's about. So I'm going to be listening to that this month. The last book I'm going to be talking about is called 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. And so this book is supposed to be about this guy who works at like a bookstore, I believe, or a library. I'm not sure. He created a list showing the 8 perfect murders that he's discovered throughout books. But what winds up happening is that we have this guy who therefore becomes a serial killer based upon the killings that this guy put out on this list. I've already downloaded it through Overdrive and it's already on my phone, so it's ready for me to listen to. So I'll be getting to that pretty soon. With that, I'm going to wrap it up because I got to walk the dog, go to work. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you consider subscribing to my channel and following me along on this journey of talking about books and just sharing what I love with you guys. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day. Stay safe. If you can, stay home, wash your hands, be a good citizen, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.